There are many reasons why humans might be considered more important than animals. In Genesis, in the creation stories, humans are created in God's image, and animals are not, which means that humans have a special relationship with God and are closer to God. In Genesis 2, where Adam is created, Adam actually names the rest of the animals, again showing he is more important. In Genesis 1, God tells humans to rule over the animals, and he gives them dominion over the rest of creation, including animals. Humans can have a relationship with God. For example, they can pray to God and respond to what he wants. Animals can't do this. And finally, humans are considered to have a soul, which means they can get to heaven, but animals are not thought to have a soul. They can't go to heaven, and so are therefore less important. Here are some of the arguments for believing that humans and animals are actually completely equal. One argument simply states that God created both humans and animals, so we're all part of God's creation, and therefore everybody who's part of that creation should be treated equally. The other one is simply that when God gives humans dominion over creation and animals in Genesis, this doesn't mean that humans are more important and can abuse them. It simply means that humans are in charge, but they shouldn't be dominant. Also, you can use the concept of agape, which is unconditional love, and you can state simply that by showing unconditional love to all of God's creation, you should treat animals equally. There are lots of different ways in which animals are used by human beings. What's important for you to remember is that Christians would have different views on what was and what wasn't an acceptable use of animals. So, for example, a Christian who believed that animals were less important than humans might be okay with animal testing for scientific and medical reasons, but maybe not for cosmetic reasons. However, a Christian who believed that animals were completely equal to humans would be against animal testing, would be against using animals in sport, etc., etc. There's no one way in which a Christian should treat animals, because some of them view them as equal to humans and some of them don't. But generally, Christians believe it's acceptable to use animals because they were put on earth by God partly for human use. However, they should remember that they should be using these animals and not abusing these animals. The important thing is that there's a link here to stewardship, and this is simply the idea that you can use God's creation, but you must care for it so that there is some of it left for future generations. For example, fish. You can fish for fish in the sea, but you shouldn't fish for them so much that there won't be any left in 10 or 20 years' time. Different denominations have different ideas about how animals should be treated and how animals should be viewed in terms of equal or not equal to human beings. Catholics believe that animals don't have rights, but they still have a duty to care for them because they're part of God's creation, but certainly humans are very dominant in the Catholic view. Church of England view is similar. Animals have a secondary position in relation to humans. And finally, Quakers believe animals and humans are equal because they're all part of God's creation. There are many different ways in which a Christian can show concern for animals. They can be good stewards, which means using, not abusing, preserving for future generations. They could give money to the RSPCA, and they can support animal charities.